NFL salaries have absolutely skyrocketed. 20 years ago, there were barely any players that were making $10 million per year. Now, these dudes are making hundreds of millions of dollars and spending it more wildly than you could ever dream of. But NFL contracts aren't equal, and they certainly aren't fair either. For instance, Tyrone Swoopes got absolutely ripped off by the Seattle Seahawks. See, the NFL has a minimum contract that teams can offer players, which is a hefty chunk compared to what regular people get. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, but that money isn't guaranteed. If teams want, they can offer you a contract, but then cut you before you play. And that's what happened to Tyrone Swoopes. This dude went undrafted coming out of the University of Texas, so the Seahawks swooped in to offer him a 3-year contract worth $1.6 million. Not bad, right? Well, Swoopes agreed to the deal, but before the season started, they pulled the rug from under him and cut him before he earned a cent of his contract. Ouch. But they were like, don't worry, Tyrone, we still have a job for you. Why don't you come play for our practice squad and we'll call you if we need you. At this point, Tyrone didn't have many options, so he agreed to the deal. And by the end of the season, the poor guy only got $27,353 from the Seahawks. I'm pretty sure the team janitor earned more than him that year. Tyrone Swoopes was the only NFL player that was eating Kraft dinner every day because it was all he could afford. But he's just one example of dudes getting paid unfairly. Just look at Brock Purdy, the 49ers quarterback who led his team all the way to the Super Bowl. Quarterbacks are usually the highest paid players in the league, and Purdy is one of the best in the whole world, so you think this guy was raking in the big bucks. But unfortunately for Purdy, that's not how things work in the NFL. Actually, NFL teams are sort of like devils who own your soul for the first 4 years of your career, and no matter how well you play, your team can keep you on a salary that is completely dependent on how highly you got selected in the draft when you were coming out of college. Total bogus, right? Well, especially for Purdy, because in 2022, no one thought Purdy was going to be good when he was playing in college. So the 49ers snagged him with the very last pick of the entire draft. And now Purdy is playing on a contract worth only $900,000 per year and won't be eligible for a pay raise until he plays 2 more seasons. So despite being a superstar, he has to live with a roommate and drive a Toyota. And he's praying he doesn't get injured before he's eligible for his big fat raise. And then you have Joe Flacco, who used to make the big bucks, but like a used car or an aging hooker, he has really depreciated in value. Cause when Flacco entered the league, the Ravens drafted him in the first round and paid him the big bucks. After winning the Super Bowl, he signed a massive contract worth $120 million, making him the highest paid dude in the league at the time. But at this point, his career is hanging on for dear life by a thread. So the Browns paid him just $2.5 million to play quarterback this year. He must really like to play football, because unless he blew all his money on booze and strippers, he definitely doesn't need it. But he still gives it his all every Sunday, even though he's making less money than Gardner Minshew. Do you know who Gardner Minshew is? Well, if you don't, I'll tell you. He's a real piece of work. In college, Minshew tried to break his hand with a whiskey bottle in order to gain an extra year of eligibility. But after failing to break his hand, his coaches thrusted him into action, and he was so good he got drafted by the Jaguars. Have you seen Napoleon Dynamite? Remember Uncle Rico? Well, Minshew is Uncle Rico in real life, and he currently gets paid $3.5 million to play for the Colts. Breaking your hand on purpose sounds bad, frickin' crazy. But I'm into the freaks, so if you're into freaks, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Dropkick. And if you don't, I'm gonna snap, like Luke Rhodes. Not all salaries in the NFL are created equal, and neither are all the jobs. While some players have to study film all day, others are tasked with battling in the trenches with some of the largest and most violent men on the planet. Then, there's the long snapper. All this guy has to do is spread his legs wide and line up in a traditional doggy-style position, then he just snaps balls to the punter. It's basically the lamest job on the field, but if the long snapper screws up, it can cause major problems. So he's got to do his job perfectly. Can you imagine what someone would get paid to snap balls for a living? Well, Luke Rhodes is currently the highest paid long snapper in the league, and his contract is worth around $6.5 million in total. God damn! I wonder if any teams are hiring. I love doggy style. And up next, we have Dolphin quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, who's currently under a relatively unique type of contract. Remember when I was telling you about Brock Purdy's contract and how the 49ers own him for 4 years no matter how he plays? Well, the rules are bent a little differently for first-round picks. These guys make more loot off of the top, but there's a special clause in all their contracts that allows teams to retain them for a 5th year for a few extra bucks, no questions asked. In Tua's case, that's about $23 million, which the Dolphins are opting to pay him next year instead of negotiating a new deal with him. Now, I know what you're thinking, $23 million is an absurd amount of money, but the truth is that Tua is going to make way more than that as soon as this next season is done. Because Tua led the entire league in passing yards, and some guys later in this video make such a disgustingly huge amount of money that they literally can't find things expensive enough to buy with all of it. But Tua definitely isn't starving. The quarterback has already bought himself a lakeside house for $1.5 million and a few vehicles worth a few $100,000 as well. One of those cars, a Cadillac Escalade he gave to his mom for Mother's Day. And to even things out, he bought his dad a Rolex. I'm starting to think I should train my kids to play in the NFL, but with my genes, they're more likely to qualify for the hot dog eating contest. And that's right, we're after you, Joey Chestnut. Or maybe instead I could train them to be kickers, because how hard could that be? Well, it's definitely not as easy as it looks, especially in those crucial situations at the end of the game when you need a clutch kicker to seal the deal. And clearly the Falcons think they've got a pretty good one on their hands, because they agreed to pay their kicker Young-Ho Koo a contract worth $24 million. Now he's the second highest paid Young-Ho in the world after Kylie Jenner. Meanwhile, you think this next Young might be a ho too, because he's totally screwing the Carolina Panthers. While some players have to wait patiently for their turn to get super rich, that's not the case for Bryce Young, because he might have already signed the biggest contract of his entire life before even playing a game. That's because the Carolina Panthers picked him first overall in the last draft. And according to NFL rules, that means he earned himself $38 million before he ever threw an NFL pass. And guess what? After getting his big fat paycheck, he totally sucked ass. Young almost threw as many interceptions as touchdowns as a rookie, and the Panthers had a 2-14 record while starting him at QB. But still, no returns and no refunds on first overall picks. The Panthers might never get any returns on their investment in Bryce Young, but the Chiefs' investment in Travis Kelce is paying big-time dividends. Travis Kelce might be the greatest tight end of all time, and he might live the craziest life of any football player in the world. The Chiefs signed him to a deal worth a total of $57 million, which is a ton of money but doesn't even compare to some of the big-timers later in this video. But the thing about Kelce is that he is so popular that he makes more money off the football field than almost any other player. For example, Pfizer paid him millions of dollars to shoot a commercial for their company. And on top of that, he's dating Taylor Swift, a billionaire music star. So Kelce travels the world, spends millions of dollars on designer clothes made by Louis Vuitton and other high-end brands, while driving around in a fleet of vehicles worth millions of dollars. Some of his craziest supercars include a $400,000 Rolls-Royce Ghost, as well as 2 Aston Martins that cost another $500,000 or so combined. But Travis Kelce isn't even the highest-paid tight end in the league, nor is he the only player with a smoking hot girlfriend. Believe it or not, running backs typically don't get paid as much as most other positions. Teams see them as sort of disposable. But you know who isn't disposable? Christian McCaffrey. Because he got game like no other. And he's got a contract to prove it. On an annual basis, McCaffrey is the highest paid running back in the league at about $16 million per year. But since his contract is 4 years long, it added up to a total sum of $62 million. So McCaffrey and his wife, who just so happens to be former Miss Universe Olivia Culpo, bought an insane house in North Carolina. This mansion's got it all. A crazy gym, a movie theater, a spa, a Wildcat ATV, jet skis, a golf cart. You name it, and McCaffrey's got it. He's basically living every other man in the world's dream life. But guess what happened? In the midst of basking in his own glory, he got traded to California. So now he's trying to sell his lakeside mansion for $12.5 million and is looking to buy a new one with some palm trees by the ocean. And his teammate George Kittle isn't doing too badly either. The tight end actually signed a contract even bigger than Travis Kelce's, the largest in NFL history for a tight end. Kittle signed a 5-year contract worth a total of $75 million smackaroos. And after signing his massive deal, he went out and bought a giant mansion that sits on 75 acres of land. Then on his property, Kittle built a 6-hole golf course as well as a ridiculously decked-out home gym that he refers to as the barn. Some of these houses in California are outrageous. And up next, we have another player with a California mansion fit for a king. I'm talking about Super Bowl winning defensive juggernaut Aaron Donald. The man looks like he's made of stone and might be the best offensive football player to ever live. So the Rams had to compensate him by paying a contract worth a total of $95 million. And with his money, he went on a crazy spending spree. First, he bought a house on one of the most expensive streets in the entire country for $17 million. Then he went out and bought himself a few sick vehicles, including a Lamborghini Urus SUV and a Bentley Continental. But not even that was enough to satisfy his massive ego. And in Donald's world, everything is bigger, including his massive diamond-encrusted 99 pendant that he wears on a giant gold chain. Not even Aaron Donald broke $100 million on his deal, but you know who did? Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a living legend, and the dude makes some serious coin-throwing footballs. To be exact, Aaron Rodgers signed a 3-year contract worth $112.5 million. And the Jets traded for him, thinking that as a 40-year-old he still had enough in the tank to lead their team to glory. Boy, did that ever backfire. Rodgers only played a couple of minutes before tearing his Achilles, which forced him out of action for the entire football season. Still, the Jets had to pay him close to $40 million this year just to sit on his butt and rest. And A-Rod has no remorse with how he spends his money. The dude bought a rare Mercedes-Benz Maybach Accelero for $8 million. That's the most expensive car an NFL player has ever bought. He also has a pretty wicked collection of mansions. Rodgers bought one in New Jersey as soon as he signed with the Jets, worth $9.5 million to add on to his collection. That includes a $28 million villa he bought in Malibu with views of the ocean. So where does a man with an ocean view villa in Malibu spend his vacations? Well, that's where Rodgers' spending choices get a little weird. Sometimes he likes to go out into the Amazon rainforest where he trips out on hallucinogenic drugs, and other times he likes to commit to silence in dark basements where he can do some serious soul-searching. To each their own, I guess. Unless you're Russell Wilson, because he shares everything with a celebrity wife, and together they are building a modern-day empire. When Russell Wilson got traded to Denver, he immediately signed an earth-shattering contract worth a total sum of just about $243 million. So now he has a mile-high stack of cash in the mile-high city, and even the Broncos desperately regret their choices. Wilson doesn't care, because he combined his wealth with his celebrity wife Sierra and bought a 20,000-square-foot mansion in Colorado worth $25 million. The mansion has 4 bedrooms and 12 bathrooms, which might seem excessive for most people, but isn't for Russell Wilson, who has been accused of being total bullshit and a walking sack of crap at various points. The mansion, which also features a 9-car garage, an indoor pool, and an indoor basketball court, is the most expensive single-family house ever sold in the Denver area. And it's not even the only house these guys bought together. They also own a house in the Seattle area with views of the skyline valued at $28 million and an additional ranch in Santa Fe, California, which was probably pretty pricey as well. And if you're wondering what the power couple drives, the answer is basically everything you've ever dreamed of. Between them, they have 2 Lamborghinis, a Rolls-Royce, a Bentley, a Range Rover, a whole fleet of Mercedes-Benz, and more. But Wilson didn't even sign the biggest contract in NFL history. That title goes to Patrick Mahomes, who signed a massive 10-year contract that will be worth over $500 million by the time he collects all the bonus incentives in the deal. I mean, this guy is so good that the Chiefs wanted to lock him up for an entire decade. And it was probably a good idea because the dude just won his 3rd Super Bowl title and he's not even 30 years old. Meanwhile, Mahomes is spending his money like he's the king of Versailles. He bought himself a Rolls-Royce, a Lamborghini, and 2 Ferraris, and then he proposed to his high school sweetheart with a diamond ring worth $800,000. The couple had a bougie wedding in Hawaii packed with celebrities, before returning home to build a massive mansion on 8 acres of land just outside Kansas City. The mansion has a 3-par golf course, an indoor basketball court, a wine cellar, a home theater, a huge swimming pool, and even a 50-yard football field with Mahomes' logo smacked right onto it. It's like Mahomes' own personal Disneyland without the creepy perverts in costumes. But this dude is building a legacy beyond football. I mean, he has $500 million locked in, so why the hell not? Mahomes is heavily investing in businesses, including the future of Kansas City sports. He's already purchased a stake of the Kansas Royals, the city's MLB team, and the MLS soccer team. If that wasn't enough, he also joined forces with a group of celebs, including his teammate Travis Kelce, to buy a Formula One team called Alpine. And the scary part is that the dude might just be getting started. One day, he'll probably be a billionaire like Michael Jordan. Jealous? I sure am. And now you know the difference between a $30,000 NFL player and a $500 million NFL player. Life isn't fair, is it? If you like this video, please be sure to let me know by hitting the like button and subscribing to Dropkick. And for more of my NFL videos, click on one of the links currently on your screen.